until something extraordinary happens on the other boards.
Come on, guys, shake hands.
They did not. They must
handshake.
have.
Maybe they should before. And they arrived at the board. Magnus goes with d4, c4 this time around. Doesn't repeat the Italian, which he played last game, knight of 3, and Vichy transposes to the so-called Ragozin with d5. We've seen b6, queen c2 yesterday in Magnus's game against Topalov, where Magnus managed to get a bit of an advantage. This time around, Vichy is in for a heavy theoretical debate. Bishop g5, knight bd7 or h6 are the main moves here. Very curious what Vichy has up his sleeve. He's experimented with rare moves like bishop to f5 in this position, but I doubt he's gonna use that against Magnus. He's played h6, bishop h4. And here, g5 is one line, knight bd7, when after e3 you go g5, bishop g3, knight e4 is the other. Carlsen going into his memory bank. How can I surprise Vichy, who's famous for knowing everything about everything? Very hard to catch him in the opening. There he goes, g5, knight e4. This is a line that Levon Aronian specializes in, can lead to extremely sharp play. And I'm not sure if Magnus is ready for it. He is thinking. He does employ this line with black himself, and yeah, he is ready. He goes knight d2, pawn sacrifice. When Anand takes and goes c6, does not want to take this hot pawn on c3 because white gets a lot of compensation. So now black gained the 2 bishops, but he had to weaken his structure on the king side in order to do so. And Vichy addresses that fact, brings his king around to g7 to cover the weak h6 pawn. He can't really castle, so he has to do it by hand.
This is a funny way of castling, bringing the king via f8 and g7, and then the rook can be activated.
Yeah, all of these things have been seen before. It's a battle between black's pair of bishops and his white's ambitions to use these weaknesses on the king side. It's not going to be easy to do. Knight f6, knight f3 on the board, transferring this knight to e5. Anand could stop that by going bishop g4, when I would guess. He goes knight g4, another way to stop it, probably a better one. Because yeah, bishop g4 was temporary, the rook would go somewhere. Knight to g4, that's an annoying move, fighting against knight e5, and also keeping an eye on f2, so all of a sudden you have to worry about bishop takes, my arrow work is not quite on point yet, but bishop takes c3, because you can't recapture with the queen, so knight f2. I believe Vichy is doing alright, maybe knight f3, even though it looked tempting, was a bit of a rash decision, because knight g4 does look very, very strong.
King b1, bishop takes, b takes on the board, and queen e7. I believe this is the actual position.
Yeah, Magnus Carlsen taking a time out here to adjust to the new landscape. His pawn structure has improved after b takes c3, but it's not the kind of position where you want your king on b1, because if this ever opens up, then the king on b1 will feel a bit alone. Rook he1, Magnus trying to open the center before bad things happen to his king. Vichy has to start worrying about e3 to e4. I would guess he ignores it and just goes bishop to e6, closing the e-file temporarily. Very, very sharp position here. I'm not sure if these guys have played that much blitz against each other. What has he done? Stop blocking the camera, Vichy.
Yeah, maybe if there's another camera
f5.
That we could have a look at from the playing hall so that we see the board.
I like f5, I didn't see that. Really impeding e4, and after bishop takes f5, queen f5, he would just capture on f2, spoiling the white pawn structure, putting the knight on e4. So nice move by Anand there. Carlsen played more slowly, rook e2, rook f8.
b1 and a5.
Yeah, Anand's doing fine here. Knight back to e1. Carlsen cannot tolerate this knight on g4 forever. Wants to prepare f3, maybe put his knight on c2 to help his queen side a little bit, and then go for f3, e4, f3, g4, opening the position. But it does feel like white is the side that has to be a little careful here.
I do prefer black here, if I had to pick sides, but I'm afraid that Magnus Carlsen will manage to create some danger against black's king. I don't know how, but he will manage.
Yeah, he misses this defensive pawns. He has to use his pieces to stop black from breaking through with b4. But it's not an easy thing to do. Rook b8 or b4 immediately, even if you lose a pawn. Doesn't seem all that scary. He's bringing the bishop back to defense as well there with bishop c2. hoping that after b4 he can take ab and put a bishop on b3. But it still looks like, yeah, he is...
b4 about to open the b5. Viswanathan is going for Magnus Carlsen's king.
Yeah, Magnus forced to defend here. I'm not sure what Vish is thinking about. Maybe queen takes b4, but that looks strange because the white king is weaker, so you want to go ab. That's what he does. And Magnus has to be very, very cautious here. Bishop b3, bishop e6. Question is how you can increase the pressure on the queen side if you're Vishy. But structurally, he's solved all his problems and now has the time to regroup his pieces. He goes knight to f6.
But I don't like that this white knight might appear too on squares like c5 and e5, so pushing those pawns also weaken black's camp.
In f6, knight e4 is a big threat, so I would expect Magnus to play
f3 should
f3.
be played in order to avoid it, and then knight d3 could come. No, he doesn't prevent it. Rook c2.
That is a surprise.
What is his trick?
I don't think there's a particular trick. After knight e4, he wants to give the exchange on c3 whenever this knight shows up there.
Sacrificing an exchange. It's a piece and a pawn for the rook.
I like what he's done. Now that this knight has disappeared, his knight is free to jump. It's kind of hard for black to create an initiative on the queen side. But Vish is trying. He goes bishop to a6. I would expect this knight to jump to e5. It's not doing all that much on c5. Oh no, queen c5. Interesting choice. Offering an endgame after bishop d3 followed by queen takes c5. What is he doing? I don't get that.
I understand it.
Magnus shaking his head.
He has missed.
Yeah, he missed that bishop d3 was check. Yeah, this was just a blunder.
I think he even laughed a bit at himself.
Yeah, he's clearly frustrated, banging out his moves, and now it should be a technically winning position for Viswanathan. The rooks are too strong here.
This is very bad news for Magnus Carlsen. He is in a lost position with an exchange down and very active rooks for black, so there's not much hope that he can hold this position.
No, this is more or less game over. He's going to make a couple moves, but there is absolutely no defense. And yeah, it's a rare blackout for the world champion that after...
Yeah, he played queen c5, missing that bishop takes d3 was a check. That's basically what he didn't see. He wanted to capture on c5 with the knight.
Yeah, that is odd. Doesn't happen to him every day. But it did happen. He is human, and it's gonna cost him a full point against Vishy, who keeps going strong in this tournament. Magnus still fighting, trying to use his pieces the best he can, but it's just... Rooks are too strong when they have open files and targets here. Vishy's bringing the other rook around. Still a bit of a conversion task ahead, but also if we look at the clock, it looks like Anand has barely spent any time. He still has 3 minutes, so should be quite comfortable, even though he still has to finish the job.
Technical difficulties. h4 is on the board and he exchanges a rook to capture the pawn on c5.
Still winning, rook c4, but you have to keep an eye on the a4 pawn, which will start running instantly. Has Vishy calculated everything? a5, rook takes f4, a6, rook takes h4, a7, rook h8, and it looks like he's just in time.
Yeah, judging from his gestures, he must have missed something or be a bit confused because he doesn't seem to be that confident. It should be winning, but still he has to calculate there are 2 white pass pawns running as well.
Yeah, but it's reasonably straightforward. The king takes care of the h-pawn, the rook takes care of the a-pawn.
This was
and
a very
then the
nice
2 pass pawns will decide the issue.
King stops the h-pawn now. There's only the a-pawn. It could be dangerous, but he's pushing his connected pass pawns, the c and d pass pawn. What's the point?
Fighting, but there is time to
check, and then king b3, and he wants to capture the c pawn.
It's unfortunate for Vishy had to do that, though. Maybe he rushed a little with c3, because now the conversion is no longer so easy, and he offers a draw. He understands he's messed up.
Yeah. Viswanathan spoiled a winning position, but this is Blitz. Of course, they make mistakes